Was there anything that you wanted to ask me in pertaining to that?
No, nothing really. Just like, what's
You just
your
want to talk about it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what your experience with it completely has been. Like, how long did it take you to completely, I guess, go through it?
Go through my inauthentic phase and come to my like genuine self.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long time. It took a long time. It's a lot of work, man. I mean, for a lot of like my life, and this is just my particular life, so this kind of aligns with what you're talking about with like transparency's sake. For me, I grew up in a very, very tough household, and so you know, I was the oldest. Usually I'm like the alpha kid, the testing kid, you know. Parents don't have a kid before, so they're like, we're gonna fuck this one up and the next one will be pretty okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much like what my life experience I feel like is. It's just I was in a stressful household. I was undiagnosed with ADHD. I grew up in a household also where like they didn't believe ADHD was a thing, and so like I went my whole life thinking I was stupid and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I escaped that life. I chose to escape that life, quote unquote, through substance abuse. So I was a heavy cannabis user for about 3 years. And people say you can't be addicted to cannabis, but you can be dependent on it. So that was me. In college, I was high all the time and working at Best Buy, going to a college that I wasn't really like invested in, and I wasn't learning anything that
You wanted to?
I was being propped up by my parents, you know, like they were like, you need to do this, and I was like, I'll do it because you guys have been encouraging me my whole life, you know. So I felt like I owed it to them to do it, but it wasn't who I was, and it turns out that I didn't even like what I was doing. So I just like was a C average college student, and I didn't use my degree. You know, I do casual stuff on the stream, like motion graphics, that sort of thing. But I never really used my degree like my parents wanted me to. And
you were just floating there?
Yeah, I was just there. I was stuck. I felt like I was stuck. Still working at Best Buy, and you know, trying to
feel that.
Yeah. So like, it was tough. It was hard for me to put my foot down. If I could like, and I don't like to talk about going back in time, but those life experiences essentially taught me. It took me being tired all the time and hating everything, every aspect of my life to really like stop and reassess what it was. And a lot of that was happening through introspection and podcasts. I had somebody recommend a documentary to me about food, and that's where I started like the whole campaign of like rediscovering myself, because I was drinking Monster, I was eating shitty. I didn't really like understand what eating bad meant. You know, I didn't, when people ask me if you were to ask me what my diet was like back then, it was like Monster energy drinks, Taco Bell, Jewel, like grocery store bought food.
I see.
And I didn't know where my food was coming from. That was never like a factor in my life or understanding why I was tired and sick all the time. And so I watched a documentary. I found out like literally my entire family's diet was complete trash garbage. I was like, from the meat we buy to like the snacks we're picking up, like we don't really know how much sugar we're eating. We don't really know how much like where this steak comes from, where this chicken comes from. Like there's a whole history behind what you're eating. And so like, it started there. I sobered up and got a new job working at Apple, and I was there for a long time. And that was where I actually used my animation degree, weirdly enough. So like my animation degree at Apple wasn't like working at Apple and using animation. I had a class for like 6 months of understanding characters, movement, and it was just movement theory. So if somebody's upset, sad, whatever it is, you could identify that through their body language.
Yeah.
Being that I had ADHD and I was undiagnosed, one of the common things for people who have ADHD is they don't like body language goes out the window. Like I'll talk your fucking head off, but I won't understand if you're uncomfortable with a subject or something. So,
yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I understand what you mean. Like you don't know like how the person responds or like how they really feel about it. Like,
Right.
Because I mean, I think I've done that before, and they just I don't know if they were into it or they were confused or they just like didn't care at all.
Right. Yeah, that was a very common thing for me. Like I would be talking with somebody because I worked retail, right? I've worked total in my life 10 years plus of retail. So like
That's crazy.
it's a long time. And so for a majority of my life, not knowing body language was a huge issue. Because like I didn't understand, when people were uncomfortable or if they wanted to be approached. You know what I mean? Like, because you can tell based on how somebody's standing, how they're walking around the store, whatever it is. You can tell if they're like on a mission to get something or they're browsing. Like you can easily tell that sort of thing. So, yeah, I had that like filter from my college days, from my animation degree, and then like I got trained at Apple to like how to give feedback and talk with people. And then that gave me like foundational knowledge that if I had when I was in my teens, I'd be an entirely different fucking individual, but I'm learning it in my 20s. So basically I had all these fundamental ingredients that I was missing out in my childhood. And after like fixing my diet, I was able to think better, be more active, work out, expend some of that extra energy. I was able to focus more, learn more, read more, podcasts more, and just eventually get to the space where I felt like I hit a plateau where I thought I knew everything that I needed to know about myself. And then that barrier was shattered when I met Konky, which is the gorilla for my sensory deprivation tank experience.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so for y'all who know about it, it's highlighted, but that was another, like, I thought I knew everything about myself, but it turns out there's an extra layer. And so ever since that point, I've never been satisfied with just being like, Steve is done leveling up. There's always going to be something that like I should be learning, I should be growing from, I should be understanding. And even right now, like, understanding myself, I'm still rediscovering who I am as a content creator and as an artist this year, when I felt like I knew what I wanted to do and pursue. Like there's still more. Like I was like, I want to host game show like G4 and like all that shit. It's like I don't give a fuck about that. Like I like video games, don't get me wrong. I can talk people's heads off about video games, but like I don't give a shit about esports or anything like that. I'm more interested in the individual, the person that did this. You know what I mean? Like I don't give a fuck about anything else. And so the avenue for that is very slim. There's not a lot of people who can do that or pursue that because it's not very like valuable to anybody other than the person pursuing it. And that's exactly what I figured out. Is like that is something that I want to do, and that has value because people would like to hear me talk about it or interview somebody or talk with them about, how they discovered themselves. And it's very hard. It's very hard to do that with people.
I'll be honest. Everyone has that guy in their life or that person who, seems to have all the connections and have the best social skills and, has the best work ethic.
Sure.
And you feel like they're like the best they could be. And I'm gonna be honest, like you come off as that to me, and I don't know.
I appreciate it.
It's just that you know how to talk, unlike me.
That's okay. It's a lot of practice, man. Like when 10 years of retail does that shit to you. Like
still growing, but
Yeah, it just takes time. It's literally just practice. Like when I say I worked at an Apple store for a long time, it means that on average I talk to maybe 30 plus people. Like Yeah.
per shift.
Per shift. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Sometimes more. If it was a launch day, easily more than 100 people.
That is jamming in all the XP you can.
Exactly. And it's like and so I don't for anybody who can empathize with the ADHD brain, when it comes down to like fundamental knowledge of what you need to know to be a good person in retail, you need to know the products, and that's it. Once you have the product knowledge, it's who's the person buying it and do they need this. And that's always been like my prerogative, is like, what kind of thing are you looking for? What are you looking to do with the machine? And so you can discover a lot about people through that. And after a certain point, like, you peel back more of the onion, and now it's about like their body language and what they're wearing and why they came in, and what's like the personality you can speak to. And the weirdest thing for me was, like, after doing this for so long at Apple, there were people that were like talking to me about personal shit that, like, I was like, I've literally met you for 10 minutes and you're asking me about like dating advice for your fucking daughter. Like, that's weird.
I haven't had customers like that, but I've had some, back and forth with customers before.
Yeah, some people are more open than others, and it gets a little bit weird, but
I mean, sometimes you get these really good conversations, and you're like, that was a great customer.
Yeah, great customer, good conversation. Yeah.
I honestly don't think I have anything else to talk about. I mean,
that's okay.
I bounced around a little bit. You ranted a little bit. I think we got our.
I agree. Allami, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it, dude.
No problem. I might do this more often if I gain the confidence.
Sounds good. If you ever want to practice, I'll be in. You can do it on my stream. That's totally cool.
Hopefully.
All right, Allami. I'll talk to you later, bud.
All right, see you.
Allami. That was Allami. They did great. I agree. Foxy, how you doing, bud? Good to see you.